We've all heard the phrase, what would Jesus do? Well, more than anyone I've ever known, my grandfather lived those words. What's up? Here we are at Mujer de Caguana. It's a historical site where there's a Taino tribe that lived here, and we have some of their depictions here. This is a really famous stone from a real village site. It's famous, called the Mujer de Caguana. If it wasn't raining, we'd be out there.
We did get caught in a huge rainstorm, but we were still able to visit the site. This place is over 1,000 years old.
Yo, Brandon, you trying to go out in there?
The village was occupied for over 300 years. Wish I could get a shot of it, but I did end up getting some shots from a YouTube video. Now, there isn't much to see anymore, but I thought it was important to see this place just to get in touch with my roots before I tell the rest of the story. Nearly 1,000 years later, in 1937, Herman Martinez was born. He is my great-grandfather.
Yeah, this town where we're gonna be now, like you said, John, is old. This is grandma and grandpa's. Every time we come here, it's like that. Not a lot going on here, man. That's how old of a town it is. It's like it should be empty. We're gonna go to the town plaza where grandpa used to love to come when we came here.
Wow.
He had to make us come here every time we came. Cool. Yeah, wow, look at this. It's almost like an abandoned town because it's so old. So now we are in Arecibo, which is just an absolute must for our family whenever we're in Puerto Rico, wherever we are. We made a nice ride over here because this is literally our grandmother, my grandmother and grandfather's hometown, John's great-grandmother, great-grandfather hometown.
Around 70 years ago, my great-grandfather and great-grandmother would hang out in this plaza. This is their hometown. It's pretty wild. A lot of these buildings are in disarray. This place has been run down for decades. Look at the trees literally growing out of this building. Herman's parents died when he was 7 years old. That's about the same age as my little brother, Brandon. My grandfather lived here until he was 20 years old. Then he moved to the US.
In 1967, him and my grandmother and my 1-year-old mom moved into 387.
My family's history is deeply rooted in Williamsburg, Brooklyn. My grandmother, my dad, my aunts and uncles, many of my cousins, so much of my family was raised here. This is also where we can begin to see my great-grandfather's influence on this community. And the center of it all is Transfiguration Roman Catholic Church. My great-grandfather was a deeply religious man. He was a deacon at this church, and not just any deacon. He was actually the first Spanish deacon ordained by the Brooklyn Diocese. Like, actually the first one. Sometimes I find it hard to wrap my head around the fact that this guy is actually related to me. Like, he's literally history. And it doesn't just stop there.
South 4th Street, and right across the street here was a huge deal for the neighborhood. This was Nuestros Niños daycare, which was founded by the church where my grandpa was the deacon, and the people in the community needed it so bad. You can imagine all these working class people needing childcare, so the church opened this place. I can't believe it's still open. It's pretty remarkable. And my grandfather was not only just one of the people on the board there, he was also like the general carpenter and handyman in the building. And his brother, rest in peace, was also the principal. And it's still here today. Nuestros Niños Child Development Center. Pretty cool.
The truth is, without my great-grandfather, the Catholic community in Williamsburg would be nothing like it is now. He was deacon for 50 years. And in that time, he baptized over 3,000 people. Of course, he couldn't be deacon forever. Eventually, he had to retire, and his family moved to Queens. Except my great-grandfather was so attached to this community that they basically had to force him to move to Queens. He saw it as an actual betrayal of his beliefs. That's how dedicated to the community he really was. He was truly an incredible man. He touched the hearts of literally thousands of people. And his influence could be felt through the entire community of Williamsburg for generations. However, no man's time on this earth is forever, and eventually, my great-grandfather's time in this world came to an end. This funeral was truly a surreal experience. Never before have I seen this many people coming to say their goodbyes.
And for my children and siblings, we always think and will use this simple phrase to guide us for the rest of our lives with a little twist. What would Grandpa do? Thank you, Grandpa, for everything that you've done for us and made us.
It's simply impossible to fit Herman Martinez's entire life into one video. There are so many things that I simply do not have time to touch on. But instead, I'd like to focus on his impact on my family's culture. Without him, there is no my family. And without him, the community of Williamsburg would be completely different. I think, above all else, what my great-grandfather's story tells me is that no matter where you start, even if you're an orphan at 7 years old, living in a small town in Puerto Rico, you can change lives. Thank you for watching.